Colson Whitehead describes the subway system really well and recreates the chaos, noise, and madness underground. The examples that he gives are so accurate, and anyone who hasn't used the subway before will be able to understand and relate to the scene. He describes the behavior and reactions of people in depth. He explains the surroundings in detail by giving examples of the advertisements that can be seen from inside, how passengers give up their seats for elderly people, and how children travel in it for their field trips. Yes, the New York described comes alive to me. How people feel before getting onto the train and after leaving. He makes it sound like a very crowded place where everyone is in a rush to get to their destination. People don't want to warn someone of the soda on the seat as it is not their job. And this is actually the place that it is. Every detail of the thought process has been written really well. I really like the way he starts off describing how hard it is to escape the suspicion that your train just left. He has been successful in creating a world for someone who hasn't traveled in the subway before. The readers are being told about what they may get to experience in the subway. The essay's treatment of place has been done really well. As a reader, I felt that someone who hasn't used the subway before would actually want to get there and experience all this.
This is John Street, 7th Street. Transfer is available.
Colson Whitehead uses various literary techniques to convey his feelings towards New York City subway. He portrays the subway as a fast-paced place that people have to put up with rather than particularly enjoy. The passage is in prose form, but it's written very poetically with profound and effective metaphors. I will go into some of the literary techniques Whitehead uses in the chapter and discuss their connotations. Whitehead opens very powerfully with the phrase, "After those steps, turnstiles spin and schemes kick in." The rhyme makes it catchy and hence it resonates in the reader's head. Also, the content of the phrase perfectly summarizes how Whitehead portrays the subway throughout. People are calculative and scheming, and it's an overall unpleasant environment. This portrayal is heightened by Whitehead's use of assonance. The soft S sound in the words spin, scheme, stand, and suspicion, which are all in the first paragraph, connote a shady ambience. The author also uses profound metaphors in order to convey the people in the subway. Firstly, he compares the massive swarms coming in to the subway as grains of sand in hourglass tubes. This helps us visualize how crowded the subway is, but also comments on how everyone is in a hurry, which could be a reason for the unpleasant environment portrayed. Whitehead also portrays the subway as aggressive, with a jungle metaphor. The herd trembles, the lion approaches, and the jaws slide apart and the people step inside. Here he's referring to the train as a lion as it makes a loud intimidating sound and we are the trembling herd. This is an effective metaphor as it allows us to hear the subway through Whitehead's use of auditory imagery. The author tends to use anonymous he's and she's when he presents small anecdotes. For instance, stared down once again he gives up. This keeps the focus on the subway rather than specific people. Also, in terms of syntax, Whitehead usually places the verbs first, as seen with the phrase just discussed, stared down once again, he gives up. There are also a wide variety of verbs used, such as leans, hopes, trembles, and many more. This increases the pacing of the passage, which in turn relates to the pace of the subway. At the very end of the passage, Whitehead implores us to get off now and hurry before you're trapped in the underworld. This metaphor is the most negative of all the portrayals. I truly feel like Whitehead feels trapped in the subway. That's abundantly clear throughout the passage.
One of the most common rules known to writers is show, don't tell. But Colson Whitehead breaks this rule in a very crafty way. His narrator speaks in real time. He details every moment he can recount as he navigates this moment in time through the subway. But what really stands out is the way the voice switches. One moment the narrator is looking at his surroundings, painting wonderful imagery of what he experiences around him. He will pinpoint the advertisements on the wall or detail how he sees people cascading down the stairs. But then all of a sudden the voice is cut and the narrator breaks from his train of thought. He will tell you, "Wait," and questions whether a woman knows something he does not. Or he will tell you, "Do not hold the doors. Do not lean against the doors. The doors are not your friend." He will also tell the reader exactly what is going on when it's going on, but then add a significant amount of detail to the sentence to take out the blandness of a simple action. Coulson does a good job of relating the objects in a subway to things on the outside, such as stations to clocks, tunnels to fungi halls of fame, and trains to lions. In scenes such as "Only after a while does he notice her and give up his seat to the elderly lady" on page 52, it is confusing whether or not the perspective shifts because it is not detailed who he is. Same goes for spying on an empty seat, but when you get there, so does sloshes, on the same page. He uses these pronouns all of a sudden without discussing who he really talks about, and it seems like a sudden shift. He talks about so many people in one scene but does not properly detail who they are, and doesn't bother to know who they are because they are merely just strangers to him. It seems as though Colson Whitehead writes as these thoughts are popping in his head at that moment. He can recount second by second how he feels. One moment he is super focused on people, the architecture, the art, the visuals, and the next he is in a rush and to react to the moment he has just been facing.
This is my first time in New York, and I was a little scared before using the subway. There were thoughts running through my mind. I felt that I might get onto the wrong train or get off at a different stop. I'm still not very confident and comfortable using the subway, but still try to use it as much as possible, as it is the fastest and the most convenient way of traveling in this city.
While Whitehead feels trapped in the subway, I don't really relate. Perhaps this is because I'm new to New York City. Although there are times I wish that part of my journey could be skipped, especially when I'm tired, I generally have a positive subway experience. It's almost like exploring another layer or dimension in New York City. Each station is differently decorated and I enjoy looking at the public art. I do understand that I might get over this phase the more I go on the subway and my opinion may change, but for now I can't really relate to Whitehead and his passage.
From the start of the story, I can tell I experienced going through the metro very differently from Colson Whitehead. In retrospect, it makes a lot of sense as he tells us in City Limits that everyone has their own New York. But I just don't have the time or energy to take in the details that he does as he's navigating through the station. Half the time I'm too lost, a quarter of the time I'm in too much of a rush, and the other quarter is that the subway is just such a mundane task, like sitting in traffic, that I don't bother remembering much of the experience. Usually I sit on the train, ready to pass out. I had been previously walking around so much before I got to the station IMB. The train probably would have been my first time to sit in hours, and the last thing I want to do is get lost in thought about the visuals around me. Instead, I somehow managed to do two opposing tasks at once, enter an entirely different zone, and stay on guard about my safety.